في حياتنا نمر بعلاقات كثيرة، وهذه العلاقات في بعض الأحيان مهما كانت جميلة ممكن تمرض بحيث أن نكون مثلا نمر بمشاكل معينة، سواء كانت في علاقة عاطفية أو في علاقة عمل أو علاقة صداقة. نمر بمشاكل لكن نقدر أن احنا نعالج هذه المشاكل مع بعض. أيضا في بعض الأحيان نمر في علاقات أو علاقاتنا تبدأ يزيد مرضها، أو تبدأ تدخل مرحلة خلينا نقول الاحتضار. لازم نكون عارفين وعندنا معرفة وقدرة إدراك إن وصلنا لهذه المرحلة، ونعرف شلون نتعامل مع هذه المرحلة. لما ندخل في مرحلة الاحتضار أيضا في علاقات ممكن تكون تصل إلى مرحلة خلينا نقول نستخدم الاستعارة، تكون ميتة إكلينيكيا، وإحنا متشبثين فيها بشكل كبير، وما نبي مثل ما يقولون نوقف الأجهزة اللي عايشة عليها هذه العلاقة، سواء أيضا أرجع وأقول علاقة زواج أو علاقة عمل أو صداقة. يكون الواحد عارف وشايف العلامات إن هذه العلاقة قاعدة تاخذ مني أكثر مما تعطيني، قاعدة تزعجني. على سبيل المثال مثلا أنا أروح العمل وحاسة إني مو طايقة أروح الشغل، أو إن أنا أشوف هذا الصديق أو هذه الصديقة ولما أطلع من عندهم أكون بالعكس، بدل ما أخذت طاقة إيجابية أحس نفسي تعبانة ومتضايقة. لما أكتشف أو أستوعب إن علاقتي وصلت للموت الكلينيكي وعايشة على الأجهزة فقط، يعني على سبيل المثال أحط وأستثمر وأحاول وأبذل مجهود لكن ما قاعد أشوف أي شيء بالمقابل. في كثير من الناس يدخلون في هذه العلاقات وفي هذه المرحلة يرفضون رفض تام أو ينكرون حتى أن إحنا واصلين لهذه المرحلة. في الكثير من حالات الزواج تمر في هذه المرحلة والشخص يكون متشبث وهو عارف أن العلاقة ميتة كلينيكيا وعايشة فقط على الأجهزة وكأنه عايشين يوم بيوم، إلى أن يصل الشخص إلى قناعة أنه خليني أسحب الفيش مثل ما يقولون على الأجهزة اللي عايشة عليها العلاقة. ورغم ما يكون القرار جدا صعب لهذه الخطوة، لكن الإنسان يستوعب مدى أهمية الخطوة اللي قام فيها، ويستوعب ويعرف أنه يا ريتني سويت هذه الخطوة من زمان، لأني الحين وكأني تحررت. أعيدوا دائما تقييم علاقاتكم، فكروا بعلاقاتكم في كل مجالات حياتكم، فكروا فيها هل هي صحية، هل هي مريضة، هل هي تحتضر، هل هي ميتة إكلينيكيا. ولازم تديرون بالكم على نفسكم وتقومون بالخطوات اللازمة عشان تطلعون من أي علاقة قاعدة تاخذ منكم وما تعطيكم. ويومكم سعيد.
Good afternoon to everyone. Today we have a really nice topic to discuss: relationship with friends. In our childhood, we learn from each other by imitating what our peers are doing. Later on, during our teenage years, this is the way that we can learn about our emotions, about the relationship with others and the world outside. So it's a great way to confront with the other ones. To have a good support system it's really important for our mental health. Studies shows that we have 50% more of chance of surviving if we have a good support network behind us. Of course, quality is more important than quantity. To have healthy relationship mean that we can be ourselves without fearing that the other one will leave us or they are going to judge us. So it's important to be ourselves, that we can attract people who would really accept us as we are. It's a great way to improve even our self-esteem. And by having a relationship where the give and take is in balance, of course, it's really important to learn more from each other. So please keep and take care of your friendship. Have a lovely afternoon. Bye.
For the month of July, we've been talking about relationships, and as I'm a child psychologist, I will specifically talk about relationships that children maintain or break. For instance, the most important relationship is the relationship with themselves. Then comes their relationship with
Good afternoon, everybody. How are you? I hope you're having a wonderful day. Happy Eid to all of you. I'm very happy that you're here on a Eid day, but this is actually maybe a kind of way that we can visit each other through the visual. So this is quite cool, and I'm happy you're all here and you all made time, and maybe it will be a useful one as well. So let's see how it's going to go. So every month, we've started this new thing in Serenity where we make every month about a topic. Last month was about violence. This month, well, not this month, we're already in August. Last month was about relationships. And this month in August is going to be about feelings. And we usually invite different people to come to our webinar. It's always a free webinar, and it's always at the end of the month. So we're very happy that you're all here. Happy Eid to all of you. I hope you're all keeping safe. I hope you're all at home, as safe as you can be. And I hope you've talked to all your loved ones. So relationships. The reason why we talked about relationships is because they are the main things that affect our life. We saw a few videos in the beginning, and there's so many more my amazing colleagues have talked about on our page of Whispers of Serenity. Relationship with your peers, relationship with your parents, relationship with your friends, with yourself. So there's so many types of relationships. Some are toxic, some are positive, some are negative. Boundaries in relationship, which is a very important topic. Kids and how they deal with relationship is a very, very important topic. So I don't want to talk much. I want the floor today for these amazing speakers. We have 2 new speakers today in our group. And then of course I have my amazing colleagues that are here every month talking about different topics. So Jean, show me our first speaker. I think we have a poster here of our first speaker. Just wait for Jean to put it up. Second. So we have a Sayyid Ibrahim Albusaidi. Of course, this young man has an amazing page on Instagram. It's all about motivation and all about things that we need to do. And he is, mashallah, a graduate from Sultan Qaboos University. And the way he talks about topics, actually you want to listen to it because it's in a light way, but it has a very big message. We're so happy that today he's a part of this. And even though it was Eid, he was very kind to actually join us. So the floor is yours, Sayyid Ibrahim. Shukran khair al-hudur. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. I'm really glad for this opportunity. I'm really happy to be here. And I appreciate every single one of you that is present to listen, just my 2 cents on basically what I have to say. And I hope, you're all having a wonderful Eid. I hope you're all staying safe and staying at home. And I'm excited to really talk about this today because it's very interesting to me.
So you're going to talk about relationships what's your topic going to cover?
So basically I'm going to talk about mainly our relationship with ourselves. And it's from my understanding very recently, my findings on life, my very humble understanding, if you will. And it's a topic I chose because it's very interesting to me, because it's something that I've just very recently actually started looking into. So I chose the topic and then I went and actually thought about it.
Great. So I'm going to leave the floor for you, and good luck, and we're all ears. Good luck to you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sayyid Ibrahim.
So again, as I said, this is very new to me. This topic of a relationship with yourself. And I chose to talk about this because I knew it would push me to go in and look into what it means to me, actually. So again, this is not this is all up for debate, and it's not correct, or like I'm not like going to push my ideas onto anyone, but this is just my understanding of it very recently. So after thinking about what I want to say, after choosing my topic, I was able to summarize what I want to say into 3 parts. And the first part is basically accepting your reality. accepting your stage in life, and also finding purpose. So these are the things I'm going to talk about when it comes to our relationship with ourselves, what it means, and how to kind of implement it, and some of the implications it may have on things like, for example, our work life. So to start off, I will talk about accepting our reality. So many of us in life, we have been through some difficult situations and in the past, for example, or we are going to go through some expected stress in the future. For example, you have been through, say, a bad relationship in the past where there was verbal abuse. You have, say, a difficult time coming up at work. You know that, say, مثلا August is going to be a stressful month. You have the exams or tests coming up if you are a student. So it's very important, at least according to my understanding, to accept my reality today and not dwell on the past or worry about the future. And this is something I've been, like an idea that I've very recently started to dig into, and I'm trying to implement it in my life. And the reason for this is because if you worry too much about the future, your reality, you're not really completely living the moment you are in. You're completely living in the future, and you're stressing about things that may not be your current reality. And it's the same for if you look at your past and you build your current reality on your past and a bad experience, for example, you've been in the past. It will basically sometimes ruin your day in a nutshell. So it's very important for us to look at each and every day as an opportunity to define ourselves. Yani, if we are going to look into the past, into a previous bad experience, it should only be for the reason of not dwelling on the past and just feeling bad about it, but actually to improve our future. And if we are going to look into the future, we're not looking into it in order to stress about it and just worry too much about it. We are looking into it in order to better plan. And I say this because this is bringing me to my second point, which is basically accepting our stage in life. So what I mean by this is that we are all in different stages in our life. And this causes us to be sometimes very, like, too hard on ourselves. And what I mean by this is also, and we see, for example, our peers, our colleagues, for example, at work, some of our friends in different stages in our life, people on social media, we look at them and we say, oh gosh, look at him, mashallah, he's doing so well. And I feel like I'm just stuck in a rut. I'm in a certain place in my life and I'm not moving forward. So you feel that you're always playing catch up in your life. It's a catch up game. You're trying to live up to the pace of other people's lives. And to me, it's very unhealthy because you're never okay with who you are today. And you're always trying to be like somebody else. Now, I'm not saying that it's completely unhealthy to compare yourself. It is, but only, again, if it's for the purpose of improving who you are, and not in order to stress about it too much. If it's just because you see someone, it's in order to motivate yourself. And there are different places where we get this type of information that pushes us to feel that way. Like, for example, social media, I mentioned, and we see people, oh, he's getting a new car, he's already got a new house, and you see people like posting the good part of their life. But it's very important for us to acknowledge that we are all in different stages in our life. We cannot base our reality on theirs. They're going through a different stage, you are going through a different stage. And it is in this part where I want to stress that you need to, in this stage, define your principles, your boundaries, your values. And again, this is a continuous process, but it's part of reflecting on yourself. So you keep reflecting, keep like understanding more about yourself, like do some self-exploration, trying new things and so on helps with this. But again, don't stress out about what other people are doing in their life. يعني حاول يعني sorry I'll mix English and Arabic by the way، بس حاول ان اذا بتقارن نفسك مع الاخرين يكون عشان شيء ايجابي، عشان انت بس يعني تاخذ الزين من الموضوع. مثلا ان انت بغيت توصل لشيء هو وصل له، ولا اعطاك فكره معينه انت بغيت تطبقها وتريد تكون مثله في شيء معين، that's fine. But I mean, don't try to live someone else's life or someone else's stage in life when you already have your own. And again, as I mentioned, it's this process basically is self-reflection. It's continuous, and it is the place where you define your principles, your values, and so on. And I will get to why I'm saying this now later on. So the third thing that I want to touch upon is finding purpose. So basically what this means is having meaning for the things you do in your life. And to me, يعني for some people, they this again, it links kind of to the 2 points that I mentioned earlier. Some people stress out because they feel and they haven't found their purpose in life. They're always searching. They're like, oh, this guy already knows what he wants to do with his life. Why can I be the same? Why am I just dabbling in so many different areas? And it's very important, in my opinion, that we live our life in a way that we don't look at purpose or meaning of our life as one big like chunk. It's separated really. It's for each and everything you do in your life, you should create meaning for yourself. For example, your job, your self-development, and other parts in your life as well, your relationships with your peers, why you treat them in a certain way, for example. And this is, and you break it up, in my opinion, this is what I like to do at least, because it helps me find motivation for each and every single thing and part in my life or aspect in my life, whether it's my job, my self-development, and so on, as I mentioned, in a way that I don't stress about it. I'm not afraid, and I'm not fulfilling my purpose in life, or I'm not stressing out about not being aligned with my thoughts of myself or my expectation of myself. So, but it's a thing that keeps me going. It's a thing that pushes me. So examples of this is, for example, in my job, for example, I push myself because of the noble vision that I believe my job provides. And that is the fact that it helps people in a way. So I work, for example, in basically Tamfid, which is where we solve for projects, national projects that are game changer projects in different sectors in Oman. And sometimes they've been facing challenges, and what we do is, and we try to solve these issues in order for the project to run eventually. So my noble objective for that, and the reason why, yeah, that keeps me going, although throughout the stress, for example, is the fact, and I know that if I push myself today and I get the job done, tomorrow it's this project, whatever it may be, in whatever sector it's going to be as well, it's going to change lives, because they will end up hiring people, people will benefit from the project, and so on. And it's the same for other jobs as well. Even if you have what you may think as a boring desk job, you must create, for example, what is called a PDP, a personal development plan, where you must at least compare yourself with, and this links to the point I mentioned earlier, and you link it to not comparing yourself with others. You compare yourself with who you were yesterday only, and that is how you know if you're better than you were yesterday. Then that's how you know you're on the right track. When I mentioned some stuff about the second part, when I talked about accepting your stage in life, I forgot to mention the implications of this. So basically, if we come to look at our daily job, for example, if when reflecting on ourselves and our stage in life and understanding ourselves more through self-exploration, understanding our principles and values, if we understand those and set those, then taking that into the work environment, نيجي نقيس على بيئة العمل. إذا يعني one time, for example, your colleague approaches you talking negatively or in an inappropriate way about another colleague of yours. So if you allow this to happen once, and it was against your values, but you allowed it to happen once, it will happen again, and it will become a continuous process. And then it may not actually match your vision or your expectation of who you are, which will result in your values or your principles actually maybe changing for the worst. Another example would be, for example, if you are a boss at work and you have an employee that say مثلا ما عندكم نظام البصمة, there is no one actually accounting for the time you come to work and until you leave. You allow for one of your employees to slack up a little bit and for example too early, not completing his hours. Over time it will keep coming up, and it will become the new norm, which may not affect you personally as a boss, but it will eventually affect your organization. And overall, if you look at the big picture, Oman as a whole, if everyone has this type of approach. So you see why it's very important to actually be clear with who you are, your stage in life, your boundaries, and your purpose for everything you do in your life. Because then if you take that to the different aspects of your life and you're clear with it, it'll help you in developing and in having a more healthier relationship with those other things. And I guess that's all I want to say. That's just, again, my humble understanding of things. And I thank you all for listening. I really appreciate it.
Okay, thank you, Sayyid Ibrahim. Mashallah, quite a few points there. I'm just going to ask you about them again, very quick. And if it's okay with you, we would love for you, if you're free, I know it's Eid and everything. We have, after two speakers, we have like a panel discussion where people can ask you questions. If you're free to be with us, we'd love for you to be around. If you're not, we totally understand. I love the point of you talking about living the moment, because we always end up talking about that in our webinars. I think living day by day is something very, very important. The catch-up game, we all play this catch-up game. And I think social media pushes that even more. So we see people doing things and we think, oh my God, look what they're doing and we're nothing, or we belittle ourselves. And as you said, it's sometimes it's not the reality. مش كل شيء نشوفه على السوشيال ميديا هو الحقيقي أصلاً يعني. It doesn't always happen that way. I think also comparing ourselves to others, we always compare ourselves to others. Humans are like that. They usually do compare themselves to others, but it's always good to take the good from it and maybe leave the bad and maybe use it as something positive and not a negative. I think one of your videos, which I saw, you talk about the fish. We have two types of people who work with us. We have the fish, and I forget what the other one was. Some other mammal. But anyway, basically one works and shows off a lot, but I mean, doesn't work that much, but he shows off a lot. And the other one works quietly, but does more work. And I think that's in life. There's always two types of people who will actually do things and motivate us, and people who will fuss a lot and they don't do much. So that's a very good point. And coming from a very young person like you, I think it's a very big inspiration for other young people to listen and not to be sensitive, because we notice there's a lot of high sensitive and they mostly are, and you can correct us if we're wrong about that, but it seems the sensitivity is high. Why do they have and we don't have? Why do they choose him and not me? And I think it's a learning curve, and I think all generations can work together, and we will get the best results.
If I may emphasize, again,
yes,
on a point that I mentioned, as long as, and this is where our nature to compare, yani, we should use it in a positive way. And the way to do this is actually to shift that comparing from yourself to other people into comparing yourself, with who you were yesterday. And again,
yes.
I mentioned, as long as you're better than you were yesterday, you are on the right track. Again, في نوعين من التعب، في تعب البال وتعب الجسد. نحن علينا انه نسعى which is equivalent to تعب الجسد، وتعب البال نخليه لرب العالمين. ليش؟ لان الارزاق مقسومه. لهذا السبب we should not really dwell on why does he have and I don't, or
That's
why
true.
is he doing well and I'm not.
Should work together.
You do your best. Yeah, you do your best and leave the rest for God to decide.
Thank you so much. If you have time, please hang around.
All right.
And if not, we totally understand. Thank you so much.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Shukran. Okay, so now we have our next speaker. Our next speaker is from our house, Serenity. It's the lovely Sahar, and she's going to be talking about boundaries in a relationship. I think boundaries in a relationship is the most difficult thing to deal with. How much do I give? How much do I take? Am I giving too much? Am I taking too much? Is it a relationship that's give and take, or is it just a relationship which I am just giving? So I think we will be today enlightened with lovely Sahar, and the floor is all yours, Sahar. Happy Eid, Sahar.
Hello, Sayyida Basma. Happy Eid.
Good to see you.
Good to see you. Thank you. Thank you.
So the floor is yours.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
I'm so happy to be here today. As Sayyida Basma said, last month dedicated to relationships, and in a short video I talked about the meaning of boundaries and which boundaries are good, which boundaries are not that much. To repeat them, I just be focused on two things: healthy boundaries and unhealthy boundaries. I try to mention details and examples. So as you know, in romantic relationships, we often think of boundaries as a bad thing or simply unnecessary. We think that others are supposed to anticipate our wants and our needs. And especially in romantic relationship, we think that this is part of being in love. In healthy relationship, vice versa, partners ask permissions, take one another's feelings into account, show gratitude, and respect differences in opinions, perspective, and feelings. But in unhealthy relationships or less healthy relationships, partners assume that their partner feels the same way they do. For example, I say, I like this, so you must too. But in fact, it turns out in a different way, because all of us are different. Although we are living, for example, as a partner or in a family, we are living in the same place, at the same house, or we have friendly relationships, emotionally, sexually, physically. But it doesn't mean that we have the same feelings, we think the same, or we have wants and needs as the other one has. So we need to talk a lot about all of these details. So let's talk about the boundaries that don't work, first of all. Boundaries that often fail are those that include the words like never, always, ever, or absolute languages. Such boundaries don't last, and most of the times are not that much realistic. For example, if I say, you shouldn't never do that, or you always do this thing in this way, and I don't like that. As soon as we use these words like always, never, and ever, we can't send the true message, because these words get the other person in the defensive situation. They immediately want to defend themselves, and these are not positive and don't work. The other boundary which is not useful at all is boundaries that have double standard or try to manipulate the outcome. For example, if I say, if you don't do that, I won't talk to you tonight. If you don't do that, I will hurt myself. You see, this is not like announcing the boundary. It's more like a threat. So because of that, we are sending a negative message in spite of saying our boundaries, mentioning our boundaries, but the message is negative and the person can't listen to the true message of our boundaries. He or she just listens the words of threat. For example, if you don't do that, they forget the first part. They just remember the second part. I won't talk to you, or I will hurt myself. And the other one, which is so important, is vague boundaries. These kind of boundaries also don't work. For example, if I say, don't spend a lot of money this month, or don't spend a lot of money for yourself. So what do you mean, or what do I mean by saying a lot of money? What exactly is amount of this a lot of money? I should exactly mention how much money do I mean. And even we try to be specified and mention the details, we can expect others to respect our boundaries. These are just examples. So these are some kind of boundaries that can't help us to take care of ourselves, to respect our wants and needs. But how could we announce our boundaries in a positive way, or how could we set healthy boundaries? First of all, we need to be self-aware. We need to know what we like and what we dislike. We need to know how we want to be treated in a given situation. You may say that, how could I know when I don't know the situation? Maybe in future something happened and I say I don't like that. Yes, I agree. But in some cases, or most of the cases, we know the general boundaries. For example, we don't like surprises, so we can announce it before it happens. We don't like to be in a situation without knowing the details. We don't like to be cheated. We don't like to hear lies, or so many other things that they are general. So first of all, we need to be clear about ourselves. We need to have a clear image of ourselves, what we like, what we dislike, and how we like to be treated. The second thing is be clear about our needs, or being specific and direct. I just want to give you an example, as I said about cheating, because we have a lot of couples who are complaining about cheating. They have big problems regarding cheating, and they just say that cheating is the worst thing in the world. But to be honest, what is the meaning of cheating? Is it the same for all of the people? Maybe I say cheating for me is just having physical contact with other person. But for you, cheating is going for a lunch with someone else. For another person, maybe cheating is lending money without asking for permission. So you see, there are lots of meanings, different meanings, case by case, person by person. So cheating is a fact, but the meaning is different for all of us. So if we are going to set our boundaries regarding cheating, we need to mention the details, we need to be specified, we need to be direct, and then we can expect others to respect our boundaries. And the other things is, when you are announcing your boundaries, try not to mix it up with other issues. Because as soon as you mention other issues, especially connected to your previous memories, the main issue is lost. Because, for example, you say, you see, you always do that. Remember last year you did this and that. As soon as you mention these things, you mix it up with other memories, the main issue is lost. Because you are mixing all the things and the result is just a confusion, not clarity. So we need clarity as much as we can. The other thing is be clear about your love while being clear about your boundaries. Because also we are announcing what we want, we are taking care of ourselves, but it doesn't mean that we don't love each other. You should show your love at the same time. So when you are starting your sentences, when you are starting announcing your boundaries, it's very good to mention that I love you, but I will appreciate if you do this for me. I love you, but I will appreciate if you don't that in future. So this first part is help a lot if you just try it. So I have a very nice, but what we can say a fun recommendation for you. We have a solution which is very nice, workable and funny. We call it the sandwich approach. The sandwich approach tells us whenever you want to announce your complaint, criticism, or boundaries, try to put it in this way. First, a compliment, second, criticism, and at the end, again, a compliment. When you start your announcement with a compliment, you don't let other people to be defensive. You are sending a positive message. So the first part is compliment, the second part is criticism, and at the end one is compliment again. Just try it for once and you can see the result would be totally different. We call it sandwich approach. That's nice, right? So as you see in every cases I mentioned, the only thing is very, very important is the way we communicate with each other. Sometimes or most of the times the content is not very important. The thing which is very important is the way we communicate, the way we talk to each other. So if we just try to pay attention to our words, if we just try to pay attention, the feeling that we are sending with the context, with the content, we can just change the result and we can expect others to respect ourselves, to respect our wants, needs, and feelings. So thank you for listening to me. If you wanted to find the videos, you can find it on Serenity, MUSCAT, or Sahar.council. And if you have any questions, I'm here for you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sahar. That was really nice. I really like the sandwich approach. I love it. I love the name. I love it all together. A very important point you talked about was communication. And I think communication, we always say communication is the key to any healthy relationship, right? So that's very, very important to stress that every time. And the words we use. Words are also very strong. They could have a very strong impact or they could have a weak impact. So even when we talk about things, choosing specific words can get people to listen to you, and other words could actually get people to think, I don't want to know what you're saying, it's not important, it's boring. So boundaries is something very difficult to deal with, and I'm sure through your clients you've seen that. It's always the same reoccurring stories as well. And maybe one of the points that's important, which you said also, I think in your video as well, you talked about, I think the environment is important and how you're brought up also. The way you were brought up teaches you about boundaries as well. So if you were brought up that you have to watch out for boundaries from a very young age, then automatically you'll just be like that as you grow up. Well, sometimes you're brought up that way, but through in your journey, you let go because you feel it's not the right way. Let me choose another way. So that was very nice, very insightful. And as Sahar said, her full video is on our page. And if you want any information, she has her page as well, Sahar, and also our page. Thank you, Sahar. Please stay for the mini discussion.
Yeah, for sure.
Thank you. Thank you so much. So I hope you're all enjoying this. Please, guys, if you have any questions, we're going to have it after our next speaker. So get them ready. You can put them in the chat box over here. You can see there's a chat box, and we will just read it out for everybody who's here. We now have the lovely Sarah. So Sarah is actually our new intern as well. and she's a mental health advocate. She's very hardworking. We noticed that from the first day, actually, she was very persistent, very on time with our online meetings, even though she's joined us in a time which is quite difficult, but she gives us that ray of light. So Sarah has graduated from the University of Northern Texas, and she's going to talk today about our relationship with our friends, which might be one of those really difficult topics to talk about, because we all know how we choose our friends, but we don't choose our families. And sometimes maybe the choices that we choose from our friends are not the right choices. So thank you so much, Sarah, and you're on.
Hello, guys. It's my first time doing a webinar, so bear with me. I'm actually really excited to be here, and I'm going to talk about relationship between friends. And the reason I chose this topic is because I believe that friendship is a sacred space. And I've been thinking about my own friendships a lot lately. It definitely took me a few years to understand the true meaning of friendship and who I want to keep in my life. And I know that a lot of people go through ups and downs when it comes to choosing friends or keeping friends in their lives. So I'm going to talk about my definition of friendship and a personal experience and an understanding of a healthy friendship and an unhealthy friendship and what it looks like. So friendship, how I define friendship is the direct relationship that involves two or more individuals that interact and form an emotional, reciprocal, and affective bond with one another. And I started I learned about friendship specifically when I took my interpersonal relationship class in college. And this is one of the best experiences I've ever had, because I felt like that class was perfect for the time being. And I was definitely going through a lot with friendship and dealing with my own personal experience with friendship as well. And in that class, we learned a lot about all kinds of relationships, like parent-child relationships and relationship with oneself, relationships with grandparents, with siblings, and of course with friendships. So when I first took that class, the professor told us to take a paper and to write this question down. She said, do your friends leave you feeling happy and uplifted? Or do you feel angry, agitated, and resentful around certain people in your life? And to create a column and to divide them. So one column was with people who make you happy and make you feel uplifted. And another column was with people who make you feel angry, agitated, and overwhelmed. So it definitely took me a while to like fill that column and get that assignment done, because I had to think deep, reflect back onto all my friendships and my relationship with my friends. And I realized that I had some friends that were in between. Like some of them were making me happy and uplifted. At the same time, I felt angry and agitated. And then with a personal experience, so I had a friend who was really close to me. And we were friends since freshman year. And we had great times together, and suddenly I felt like the friendship was falling apart. And it took me a while to realize that, because I felt like, I don't know, I'm the type of person that does not really like communicate things right away. I just give it time. I was like, you know what, maybe it's just a bad day, bad experience. But I realized that the friendship was falling apart, and things were happening. Like whenever we were having a conflict, they would talk negatively about me, or they would not take what I'm saying seriously. Whenever I'm around, it's like I was not there. I felt as if I was just like a burden, or I was not important and whatnot. A lot of things were happening during that friendship. And I realized that I started avoiding that person and avoiding my interaction with them. So I stopped going to like hanging out with them, and I realized that I started lying and making excuses every time I felt like not wanting to hang out with them. And until I took this class and we were talking about healthy friendships and unhealthy friendships and how to deal with them, and everything started to make sense to me. I realized that I was in an unhealthy friendship and I needed to do something about it, especially if this person is an important person in my life, but at the same time, it's not healthy for me and my well-being. So I decided to talk to this person. I asked them to meet up. And before meeting up, I made sure to ask about their well-being and if they're in a right place to talk and if they're free as well. And when that person agreed to talk, I decided to meet at an open space like the park, because it was a good environment with good energy. And when we met up, I started the conversation by explaining why I brought them there at that time. And also I used I statements like I believe, I feel, and I noticed, because I did not want to make the other person feel like they're being attacked in any way. So we started off with the conversation, and I gave them a pen and a pencil, and I had this, and I also had a pen and a pencil, and I meant a paper and a pencil. And we wrote down the positives of our friendship and the negatives, and also what made our friendship fall apart. And I talked to them about how I felt and all the behaviors that I did not agree with that were hurting my feelings. And I made sure that they were listening to me without interrupting, because listening and paying attention to what I had to say was really important to me. And I also did the same. So we definitely worked things out. And with time, I noticed changes, and definitely did work. Like that activity definitely did work. Writing it down, writing how we felt, and talking about it with talking about each point. And our friendship is way better now. And I wanted to also talk about what a healthy friendship looks like to me. So to me, a healthy friendship is based on mutual respect, allowing each other to grow. A healthy friendship nourishes you and adds to your life. Being able to self-disclose, so being able to talk about anything that you are not able to talk to with anyone else. Setting boundaries and respecting it. Accepting you for who you are, and value your presence, supporting you, and showing compassion. And an unhealthy friendship looks like it's one-sided, only accepts certain feelings, possessiveness, trust is broken, secrets are shared, and confidentiality is betrayed, leaving you empty and drained, not respecting your boundaries, especially when you communicated them, demanding conformity, and verbally abusive. And sometimes I feel like people cannot distinguish between a healthy friendship and an unhealthy friendship, because they are so used to being in toxic environments and unhealthy relationships in general. So whenever they're around someone or their friend that's verbally abusive to them or calling them names, they're just so used to it, to the point they'll be like, it's okay, they're just my friend. And then it also affects their other relationships. So toxic friendships also takes a toll on you, on your mental health, and your physical health, and your emotional well-being. And it also affects your other relationships with others. And so I really feel like it's really important to distinguish between healthy friendships and unhealthy friendships, and being aware of them. And if you're not aware of them, then talk to someone who can help you, at least who's been through similar situations, and maybe they'll be able to help you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I don't know about you talking about your first webinar. That was quite good, mashallah. So all the best and many, many more, Sarah. I think the topic of having someone who's close to you and they're your friends, it's very difficult. It's, as you said, I mean, it's one of those things that's quite, like, you don't want to lose them, but still you feel that they're actually affecting you. You know, your day is not as it should be. There is all the points that you said, the mutual respect, the simplest thing is just being able to tell that person everything you feel like saying without feeling that there is, you know, a boundary. Again, we go back to the different type of boundary that Sahar talked about. And I would really recommend today, out of these amazing 3 talks, each one of them, we take something with us home, you know, and one of the things that now I hear is, I love, again, we go back to communication, so it's tied up together. Getting that person to come. You're kind of lucky that your friend was a bit calm and she actually got a paper with you and wrote down. Otherwise, it'd be like, I don't want to get a paper. So that was good. And doing it at the same time, I think is really good.
Yes.
And whichever it comes out, it might not be like your friendship before. It might be better, or it might be that you guys find out it just isn't working. So whichever way it goes, I think it's a healthy approach. Respect is one of the things that you talked about, which is very, very important. And this not being abusive. And you're right, in any relationship we talk about today, there's always that cycle of abuse. Sometimes it's emotional, sometimes it's physical, sometimes it's sexual, whichever it is. But the emotional one is the #1 character, especially when you have friends. And actually throughout your years, you'll find yourself changing with how the friends you have as well. So you also evolve. Some of us evolve. Some of us are stuck in the same way we've always been. So our friends, we should be enhancing new things in their life, and they should be enhancing new things in our life. And that's when it's a good, positive friendship. Like when you're with a spouse, for example, the support they give you and the support you give them makes the family better. So thank you so much, Sarah. Please stay. We would like now for Sayyid Ibrahim, for him to come on screen, and also we would like Sahar, yes, also. And if you guys have any questions to ask these lovely people, please feel free to ask them now. We have, I think they're all here. I can see, so Sarah is here, and Sayyid Ibrahim is here, and Sahar. So guys, if you have any questions, please, you're welcome to ask. And also people who are in the panel, if you want to ask each other, feel free to ask each other. If you have, the 3 of you are connected, by the way, in the talks that you've talked about. So in the end, it's all connects to major points: communication, respect, being able to say what you feel. So if you guys have questions, please ask each other, and let's see. Okay, we have 24 followers or viewers. So let's see if there's a question. Very nice talks. Okay. Come on, guys, grill them. They're here. سألوهم. إذا عندكم أي أسئلة.
Let's make it quick, guys. I have afternoon tea to catch.
Oh, can we have tea with you? Can you please do it here? Okay, so it's there. Come, let's just check. So thank you all for sharing your point of views. My question is for Sahar. How do you communicate your boundaries to codependent person? So Sayyid Ibrahim, if you need to go, please feel free.
It's fine, I'm here.
But we will ihsad you ala the tea, and I don't know what other you're gonna do. But and then we have a question for Sarah. Sarah, would you have been ready to let go of your friend if she wasn't ready? That's very interesting. Okay, so Sahar, shall we start with you?
Yeah.
So the first question, Sahar, is, you get the question?
Yeah, I'm
My
right.
question is, how do you communicate your boundaries to a codependent person?
So first of all, it depends on how do you define codependent person. And as I said, we need to find different ways of communicating with different people. So if you are talking to my husband, I have to choose a different way. If I'm talking with my mom, I have to choose a different way. Case by case is different. So codependent people are a bit more defensive. So they are more sensitive. First of all, we need to know how they are and what kind of features or characteristics they have, and be aware of them, to take care of them first of all. So for any kind of communications, understanding is the key. Understanding each other. If we can understand each other, we can have an empathetic relationship, empathetic communication, right? So for codependent people, as I said, they are sensitive, they are a little bit more attached to people or things. So we need to explain more our wants, our needs. We have to be aware of our words we are using. We have to ask them, did you get my point? I just meant this by saying this word. Is that the same thing you interpreted? You know, it's okay if we ask so many questions. It is okay to double check it with everyone. Did you get my point? Is not a bad question. It's really helped in any kind of situations. So I just think for any kind of people with any kind of characteristics, we just need to ask questions. We just need to understand each other, then try different ways of communicating.
Okay, thank you. So I'll come back to you. There's another question, but I'll go to Sahar, then I have a question for Sayyid Ibrahim. Okay, Sarah, sorry. Sarah, if your friends, did you see the message here?
So
To Sahar. How can we get rid of, no, there was one before that. It was about, Sarah, would you have been ready to let go of your friend if she wasn't ready?
I don't.
So you go to the park with her, she sits down and she said, you know what, I'm not doing this. I don't want to write anything. What are you going to tell her?
Well, I would personally, first of all, I might be a little bit heartbroken. I'm not going to lie about that. But I think I would try my best to be understanding, because all I can do at that point, I'm there trying. I'm trying to work this friendship out, because I'm the one who's been avoiding this friendship. Like,
okay,
for them to understand where I'm coming from, they need to know the points that were affecting me. And if they were not ready to talk, then maybe give them the space to think about everything. And if they're ready, they could come back and talk to me. If not, then maybe it just wasn't meant to be, because friendships form and they also dissolve. Not all friendships are meant to be in your life forever, and that's okay. And we have to accept that sometimes.
Okay, that's a good answer. Okay, Sayyid Ibrahim, there's a question here. I'm going to ask you that question. Oh, okay, it's going. Suddenly everybody is like on the bandwagon. Okay, so the question is, my question is for, wait, there was a general question up here. Ibrahim, what your thoughts? I love the fish. I would actually like you to talk about, because somebody talked about, the idea of the video that you talked about relationship at work, okay? That you have friends, for example, at work, right? So you have a friend that's like, just meshi, why are you so fussy? Why do you do your work, you know, full on? Just do whatever, it's not important. And then you have another friend who is very full on, very like, you have to do this job, and he's over. So one is very least, doesn't want to do stuff, and one is really beyond.
Yeah.
My question to you, you're in the middle, let's say. How will you deal with these two extra? I mean, this is extremely high, and this guy is very extremely low. What would you do?
Okay, so that's very like a difficult scenario actually to actually happen in reality, to see this, but I mean it may exist. So since I am in the middle, I will try to be that middle guy that creates a culture that combines a bit of both, I guess. Because being too stressed out about everything in this direction, that's unhealthy. And being too lenient about everything as well is unhealthy. So I guess being in the middle, it will be my job to actually create that culture where we find common ground, something in between, in between both
Between both of them.
or both worlds, yeah. And I would do this by like actually just having a conversation with them both to try and understand both areas of where they are coming from, and then
Yeah.
you meet with them both. I don't know, just through work, try to kind of see this new culture that I'm trying to introduce. If it's not possible to actually sit and have a conversation with them about it one-to-one, then I will try to see this new culture and instill it within the environment that I want to work in, which is
Okay.
world. And I hope by that,
It works out.
it works out.
So this question is for everyone, I guess. When someone realizes they are in an abusive relationship, is it worth it to give it a chance and set boundaries, or is it hopeless and is it better to just let go? So that's for the three of you. What would you say?
I personally do not encourage abuse in any form, but if this is someone you've known for so long and you're willing to give a chance, and if that person is willing to try and change, then maybe. And also, I would encourage counseling, like maybe couples counseling, so maybe work on things together. Maybe that would also work out if this relationship is really important.
Okay. Sayyid Ibrahim and then Sahar.
Okay, for me, I would values you enough this type of behavior on you. So of course, after giving it a certain like a try on your own, by just simply talking and trying to really convey your values, your boundaries in a way that hopefully they understand. If they don't, adhere to your boundaries, which are not asking for too much of you, and it's just the bare minimum of common decency to have a healthier relationship, then I would, no matter how important it is, if I cannot solve it, then I would personally value myself more, not let
Okay.
this happen, and just move on.
Okay. Sahar, what do you think?
Oh, I saw different questions, but I couldn't see this question because I
Yeah,
can't.
it's up there. It went up quickly. Yeah.
But I think all the questions have a focal point, is related to all of them. I think for so many situations, we have to consider that we are not going to change others. And if we are going to do that, we have to waste so much time. And we have to remind ourselves that everything begins with us. If we are going to expect others to respect us, first we need to respect others as they are. We have to accept their negative points as well, right? So in some cases, as here mentioned, in family, mother-in-law, in some friends, we can't let them go easily. We have to live with them. It's not a very easy way to let them go. So in these cases, first of all, I have to say, have you tried all the ways you know for fixing your problems? Have you ever tried any kind of asking for help, therapy, friends, family, someone to intervene or be facilitator to make reconciliation or something like that? Because sometimes we can't fix all the problems by ourselves. It's good to seek for help. But in some other cases, which are conflicts of interest, conflicts of needs and wants, especially in families itself. So we have to be patient and accept some parts of others. We can't change them, and just be focused on our past. Being patient is one of the ways. If you tried all the ways and no one was helping.
Okay, so yeah, actually, Dora, so Sahar summed it up, and we're going to sum up this session. So a lot of you, it seems we have to do a webinar about boundaries. It seems to be a golden word. وضع حدود بين وبين أشخاص معينة. The boundary word is it is very tough when it's your family. Like when it's your sister, it's your brother, your father, your mother-in-law, it is difficult. It is not easy. So that needs a whole new thing. And I think one of the things, I don't know if you guys agree with me, but I think it also depends on us. How have we been treating these people from the beginning? Maybe we got them used to a certain kind of me that's always there, that's always willing to do that. So they get shocked when we say, no, this is not right. They're like, wow, what happened there? So again, maybe it has to do with what we also think about ourselves. As Sarah said, she would start writing with the word I, right? She would go to I first. And that was something very interesting to hear about. Okay, now we have our next two. Thank you very much, Sahar, Sayyid Ibrahim, and Sarah, for our two new speakers who have been on our webinar, Sayyid Ibrahim and Sarah. I hope you come back again. And I release you if you want to go. If you want to stay, we would love it. And thank you so much. Now we move to our next speaker, and that is Dora. Dora is also in our clinic from Serenity family, and she's going to be talking about parenting styles. Now, I'm sure a lot of parents are going to be quite in tune to this, because the relationship between a mother or father and their children is one of those quite hectic relationships, if I must say. So Dora, the floor is all yours.
Hi, hello everyone, nice to be here. So today I would like to speak about different parenting styles. So basically, research shows that there are 4 main types of parenting, and they are based looking at 2 main dimensions: the dimension of control and of effectiveness. So how much love and care we give to the kids that they need. And the control part is more about the rules, how we are able to set boundaries to them. So based on this, there are 4 main kinds. The first one that I would like to speak about is authoritarian parenting style. This is actually was typical in back ago, where what I say, it must have been done that way. So there is no way to argue about it. The parents know better, and there is no way that you can negotiate about that. So it's my way or highway, basically. So because I say so, you have to do that. And the problem with this parenting style, that the kids, they feel that they have to repress their own emotions and thoughts. They are not free to express themselves. They feel that they are not taken into consideration. And often they develop a repressed anger towards the parents that later on can be an issue in their adult life. And those kids, and when they grow up, they will have this issue of expressing themselves. So it will create a difficulty even in relationships, and they might become good liars, that in order to avoid punishment, because they have been punished many times so hardly and so strictly, they will prefer to lie about things and so on. So the love, unfortunately, I mean, the care is not really there. There is just this strict way of ruling them. And of course, you know, then one would think that, oh, okay, but what kind of parents are these? But in reality, we have to look at back what their parents brought to them. This was the only way that they learned maybe to cope with the kids at that time. So it's complicated, you know, we are not here to evaluate on a moral level. Yeah, and we might have different parts of every parenting style. The next one I would like to speak about, actually it's on the opposite level. It's the permissive style. When we let the kids to do whatever they want, we are there emotionally 100, 200% all the time. And they learn that they can give away even if they do something. On the control level, what we miss are the rules and the boundaries. So without having clear boundaries, and especially if they learn that, oh, okay, even if I do something, it will not have a direct consequence, they feel like, okay, actually, I don't feel like I need to respect the authority later on in their adult life, for example. And it's interesting, but they will struggle with self-esteem as well, because kids need some guidance from the parents. They feel safe. With healthy boundaries, they feel safe and protected. Without them, it's like, yes, okay, do whatever you want, but they don't learn to self-discipline themselves. And they can have issues even in their studies, because they cannot reach to their goals. They will stop even in the academic performance in the middle, for example, because they didn't learn the tolerance for frustration. The other one, so here the part of affection is there, and on the control side, unfortunately, it's not really put it out there. Of course, this is something that it can be learned with time. In all of the cases, we can improve them. So the other one is the uninvolved parenting styles. So this is where actually the kids can grow up on his own with his peers. The parents, they don't really know their own kids, and the rules there are there, but they don't really care if they are following them. The affection is not really present. The support, the network support is not there for them. And those kids, they will have issues in their self-esteem, and especially in the relationship with others. They will not know how to connect with other people. That is really something important that we learn first and foremost within our family. So they will have a big disadvantage. They even drop out from school in many cases as well, because the control side is not there. Too much freedom, actually it becomes an issue in these cases. So I wanted to say something about it, but now I don't know. Yes, that often those people, parents, they suffer from some kind of mental disease, or they have a really difficult life situation. So it's not intentional in all the cases, like someone died within the family. That can be a really hard life situation, or stressful economical situations. And even, for example, substance abuse. If one of the parents are using some substance, it can create some difficulty to pay attention and to look for the needs of the kids. And the last one, that should be the parenting style that people should follow, is the authoritative one. So here the rules are set, they are clear, but they are flexible. So they take in consideration the needs of the children in that situation. Like the rules are clear, and they know why they have to do this way, and there is a little bit of allowance if they don't manage. Like rewarding system is often used in those cases, so they feel motivated to do. And actually this is the most healthy way, because those kids, they get the rules and they get the support from their family at the same time. The love and the affection, the empathy, that is really important. And they feel that their opinion and their emotions are validated. So as an adult, they will be more successful. They will be able to express their emotions, thoughts, feelings easier. And they will be better problem solver. They will be able to solve better the problems, because they will have even more self-discipline. They can regulate themselves. They understand why they are doing something and why they have to tolerate a little bit of frustration now to achieve something later on. And this is like the general 4 types. And if we have to tend towards this one, it's important to give more listening to the kids, yeah, to validate more their emotions and their opinions, and even to give them little tasks that they can solve within the household, and they feel that it's important, even their small contribution within the system of the family. And it's really important that sometimes before getting punished when they did something, if it's a small thing, to give some warning, like, you know, that, okay, this, in this case, this is not the best, so if you will do this again, it will have certain consequences. And in that case, it's really important to respect them, because if you will not respect them, you will be a permissive parent, and they will learn that, oh, they can do whatever. Actually, it's not so important to follow the rule, because nothing will happen if they don't. And so basically, this was the main thing that I wanted to say. And the last really important thing is about learning to let them learn how to self-regulate themselves. So if they get upset, to not try to calm down them immediately. Give some time, if the situation is something smaller, that they have to learn and they have to improve their own coping way to deal with the stress and with the frustration. So it's like we give them how to fish, not the fish itself. So thank you very much, and thank you for having me here. Bye.
Thank you, Dora. That was really good. And I think the idea of the last point you said is one of the strongest points, because they need to learn how to deal with stuff alone as well. And that helps, I think, the relationship between a parent and a child. One of the things you also talked about is some children lie because they're scared. And that is something typical in every culture. If you, the relationship between a child and a parent is fear, then there will be lies and all of that. So it's not really love. It's more built on fear. Out of the 4 points that you, well, actually 5 in the end, which is this, is there any, the strongest point, or are they all equally the same, do you feel? The types that you talked about.
Sorry, in which way? I don't understand
the types of parents that you talked about. Yes. You said there's the involved ones. Is there anyone that's the worst, or they're all worse in different ways?
I think they all have their own issues. We can say that the authoritative one is the one that we should look forward. We should tend to do that. Maybe the uninvolved, because they miss even the emotional support and even the control side, to have rules. So they are totally lost in the world outside. I would say so.
It's very interesting. Okay, thank you so much. Stay tuned so we can have a discussion. And the good thing about these webinars, that actually we upload them on our YouTube channel. So it will always be there. So that's a good thing. So anytime somebody wants to go and check it out, we will then send you the links, and there'll be always information there. Okay, our next speaker is also from the House of Serenity Clinic. It's the lovely Tamsyn. Tamsyn deals with children, and she also loves animals. I must tell you, she's in love with animals. She talks about that a lot. And today, though, she has a totally kind of different scope, right? Today we're talking about something a bit different. What are we going to be talking about? You tell them.
Hi, everyone. Can you all hear me clearly?
I think they can. I think
okay.
So now. But if anything, please tell us in the chat. Okay, the floor is yours. Good luck, Tam.
Thank you. So I usually just talk about children generally because I'm a child psychologist, but I have in the past previously worked with kids with autism and Down syndrome and cerebral palsy. And my absolute favorite thing to do is to see how they build their relationships with their siblings or with their parents. So for today, I'm going to be talking about a child's relationship with their siblings who have a disability. And I'm just going to use the word disability for today, but I don't particularly like using that word. I like to say differently abled, because I think we need to stop seeing people with disabilities as someone that we pity or have less than us, because I believe that they have other qualities that we may not be able to do. So my talk for today is going to be really short. I have just 4 main points on how to build a relationship, a healthy relationship with a sibling with a disability. So this is going to be from a parent's perspective. For starters, I think we should be really open about the disability as parents. Whenever you do find out that your child is diagnosed with a certain disorder, not only is it healthy to have this conversation with the child with the disability or disorder, but it is healthy to involve the rest of the family members as well when it comes to the other siblings. So actually sit down and have a one-to-one conversation. Let your other child ask questions, encourage them to ask questions, so that they don't have the wrong assumptions, or they don't tend to look at their sibling as someone who cannot achieve things in life in a different way. Secondly, I'd like to talk about distributing attention. Now, it's something that a lot of the other psychologists at the clinic have also talked about today, about attention and communication. So giving each child that one-on-one time, and I mean actually one-on-one time with each child, not together with all the siblings. So if you have a child without a disability, then do something that that child likes. Like it could be going for a car drive, but it's just one-on-one time alone. Same with your child with a disability. Find out things that he or she enjoys doing and try and do that with your child together. Third, I'd like to talk about spreading support. So in a household when one child has a disability, I think it's important to share tasks amongst all the kids. So if you're getting one child to do the dishes, perhaps, then get the other child involved to do it with them or to share in another chore. I think that's really important because it teaches them independency as well. It teaches them how to cooperate with someone who has a disability. And it also teaches your non-disabled child how to build empathy. So these rules apply not only for building a healthy bond between your non-disabled child and your disabled child, but it will also help your non-disabled child to look at the rest of the world with empathy. So let's say they come across someone that they go to school with a disability. So it's definitely going to work on their empathy side as well. For older kids, I believe that we've talked about cyberbullying before and in-school bullying as well. So I do know that there are a lot of cases where children with disabilities are bullied at a higher rate than other children. And in cases like this, I think sometimes the sibling who is not disabled gets the brunt of the whole bullying action. So at this point, you might need to have to explain to your older child to kind of watch out for the other sibling and to better explain to their friends what it's like to be in the shoes of someone who has a disability. You could also explain to your other kids by saying, your brother has a difficulty doing this because of this. So that would be a good way to word your sentences when you're having a conversation with them. Lastly, I'd like to talk about some of the other rules that apply, some of them that Dora has explained as well when it comes to communication and, most importantly, no comparison. So I recently had a live IGTV talking about this, about how not comparing your children is very, very important. And the same applies for even if you do have a child with a disability. So they're all each individuals with unique qualities that need to be uplifted on their own without being compared to one another. Teach them also to appreciate these differences so that they can kind of motivate each other without having to pull the other one down. And that's going to carry on into the outside world when they get older as well. I think that's about it. My talk is really short for today. If you guys have any questions regarding working with children with disabilities, I do work with a lot of kids on the spectrum as well. So I have a list of tasks and ideas that involve play therapy, wherein you can not only involve the parent, but involve the sibling of the child to come up with fun activities to do with a child with a disability, say with autism spectrum disorder as well.
Thank you, Tam. I think that's actually a really nice point, to teach a sibling how to play with his brother or with his sister who has a disability. Because sometimes they always say, I don't know what to play with them. I don't know how to deal with them. And it's true, because they actually don't know what to play and how to, and which games are okay and won't be dangerous, for example, to play with them. So that's a very valid point. Getting them involved, I think, is really nice. I mean, if they're all doing things at home, usually a mother will think, no, but he's not well, so don't let him do that. Oh, but, you know, and I think that makes him weaker. And actually teaching him, but balancing, like not making it extreme as well. I think that's a very, very valid point, keeping him support and not, I mean, even if your children don't have disabilities, some parents like to, for example, say the differences between them, say, oh, this child is better than this child because this child does this, that, and the other. So I think that point is very, very important to whatever your kids are going through. So I like the points.
It's add something really I forgot to mention before, that sometimes parents tend to give the disabled child so much attention that they tend to not spend that one-on-one time that I mentioned, which is very, very important. So as a parent, I know it's stressful to have kids in the first place, but to have a child with a disability adds on to that pressure to spend time with each child. So when you are spending more time, and you may have to spend more time with the child with a disability, don't forget not to neglect the other child as well.
And I think also one point we could throw in there is also the parent needs to have time for themselves to be able to recharge. As you said, already having kids is a blessing, but it's tiring sometimes to imagine having kids and also with a disability is something I'm sure a mother or father did not choose, but it's something that's there and they do love them unconditionally. So I think they do need some time off for themselves as well. Thank you, Tam. Thank you so much. Please stay around and we'll see if we have questions after our last speaker. Last but not least is our lovely, lovely speaker, Noora الأخزمي. Noora will be speaking in Arabic. مساء الخير عليكم جميعا. نورا الأخزمية بتتكلم باللغة العربية. أهلا نورا، نورتينا وحشتينا. الله يعطيك الصحة. كيفك؟ You're on, her mic is on mute. We can just unmute the mic. Let's just check that.
تسمعوني الحين؟
اي نسمعك.
اوكي، يعطيك الصحة والعافية سيدة بسمة، وكل عام وانتم بخير، تعودون ان شاء الله بالصحة والعافية يا رب العالمين. ان شاء الله بإذن الله الأعياد القادمة تكون أجمل وأفضل ونقدر نجتمع كلنا فيها بإذن الله على خير يا رب العالمين.
حبيت عنوان التوبيك مالي أنا وأولادي، فالله يعطيك العافية ومستعدين نسمع لك، يعني متحمسين، وإن شاء الله كذا كل هذا الكليبس إن شاء الله جالسين نتكلم عنه اليوم كلها بتكون أصلاً على يوتيوب حال الناس اللي يمكن اللي ما حصلوا وقت إنه يشوفوه وكذا، فتفضلي وكلنا آذان صاغية لك. تفضلي.
يعطيك العافية، مشكورة. أتوقع اليوم النقاط اللي تتكلم تتشابه وفيها أشياء جدا مشتركة. النقطة اللي أنا راح أركز فيها هي علاقة الأهل بأبنائهم، علاقتي أنا وأبنائي شلون تكون وشلون نقدر إن إحنا نركز عليها. لما الواحد يبدأ يكون أسرة، يكون عائلة، طبعا أكيد في مشاعر مختلطة تكون فيها بعض الشعور بالسعادة، الشعور بالخوف، في ارتباك، نظام الحياة كله يتغير، شيء طبيعي. لكن الشيء اللي ضروري وايد إن إحنا ندركه هو إن إحنا لما نجيب شخص لهذا العالم ويعني وضاف طفل أو طفلة إلى أسرتنا، إحنا أخذنا بروجكت أو أخذنا مشروع مدى الحياة، وأخذنا مشروع لازم نكون إحنا مسؤولين عنه ومسؤولين عنه في كل تفاصيله، مو بس التفاصيل اليومية اللي هي أكل وشرب وتبديل ملابس. إحنا قاعدين نبني إنسان وقاعدين نكون إنسان راح يكبر ويصير إنسان بالغ وراشد بإذن الله في المستقبل ويكمل حياته ويبني أجيال قادمة بإذن الله. فإحنا دورنا اللي نلعبه في حياة الطفل جدا محوري، إن إحنا دورنا ما يقتصر فقط على جيلنا إحنا فقط، لكن لو بنينا وأسسنا صح إحنا قاعدين نبني لأجيال بعيدة بإذن الله. ضرورة العلاقة بين الأهل والأطفال جدا 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 شيء مهم ولازم إن إحنا نتكلم فيه، لأن لما تكون العلاقة إيجابية بين الأهل والأبناء هذا شيء يغذي التطور العاطفي عند الطفل، ويغذي التطور الاجتماعي، ويغذي عنده جوانب مختلفة تبني له، يعني خلينا نقول تبني له الأساس لشخصية هذا الطفل. فإذا كانت العلاقة إيجابية وجيدة بين الأهل والطفل إحنا بنينا أساس شخص في المستقبل قادر أنه هو يعيش حياته بشكل صح بناء على صحة نفسية سليمة بإذن الله. القرارات المستقبلية أيضا تتأثر بشكل كبير بعلاقة الأهل بأبنائهم. لما تكون العلاقة قوية ومتينة بين الأهل والأبناء إحنا قاعدين نكون شخص قادر أنه هو يعيش حياة سوية بإذن الله، أنه هو قادر تكون شخصيته قوية، شخصيته مثل ما يقولون قادر أنه هو يعيش حياته في المستقبل، قادر أنه ياخذ قرارات بناء على صحة نفسية سليمة، وقادر أنه هو يكون علاقات إيجابية في حياته، ما يكون فيها هو دائما يعيش دور الضحية أو يكون هو إنسان مثل ما يقولون مضطهد في العلاقات، تكون علاقاته إيجابية وعلاقاته جميلة في حياته المستقبلية. يكون أيضا عنده قدرة على التعامل مع المشاعر تحت الضغوط. لما يكون الطفل علاقته قوية مع أهله وتكون بالتالي شخصيته أقوى، يكون أيضا عنده قدرة على التعامل مع الضغوطات في الحياة، عنده قدرة على التعامل مع الستريس في الحياة، المواقف الصعبة قادر أنه هو يتعامل معاها، لأن مثل ما قلنا الأساس قوي. تخيلوا بيت عندنا لو قاعدين نبني بيت لازم يكون أساس هذا البيت قوي، كل ما كان الأساس أقوى كل ما عمر معاي البيت لعمر أطول وأجيال كثيرة بإذن الله. نفس الشيء علاقتنا بأبنائنا، كل ما كانت أقوى وكل ما كان أساسها قوي أكثر قدرنا أن احنا نبني على هذا الأساس إلى أجيال متباعدة مثل ما قلنا. في نقاط عدة لازم نتبعها عشان تكون العلاقة جيدة بيننا وبين أبنائنا. طبعا ممكن الواحد يقول كلام وايد والكل يتكلم وقوي العلاقة، زين عطونا طرق أو عطونا أشياء معينة نقدر نتبعها عشان نقوي علاقتنا مع أبنائنا. شيء ضروري جدا ان احنا نتكلم ايضا فعلا عن النقاط العمليه اللي احنا نقدر نطور علاقتنا مع ابنائنا. طبعا مثل ما قلت ان دورة تكلمت نوعا ما عن بعض التفاصيل اللي انا بتكلم فيها بتعمق اكثر. ايضا حتى تامسن مثل ما قلنا الكل قاعد يتكلم في نقطه الحوار. الحوار شيء جدا ضروري، والحوار اساسي في علاقتي او بناء علاقتي مع ابنائي. ضروري ان انا اعطيهم علاقه فيها دفء وفيها حب وفيها تواصل. التواصل ضروري جدا بيني وبين ابنائي، حتى التواصل اللغوي يعزز عندهم القدره اللغويه في المستقبل ويخليهم تتطور عندهم الصحه النفسيه بشكل جدا ايجابي. استخدموا اي فرصه تجدونها للتواصل مع ابنائكم. لما طفلك او انا لما اقول طفل مو بالضروره الطفل يعني كشخص جدا صغير بالعمر، خلينا نقول عموما it's never too late. الوقت بعمره ما كان متاخر ان الواحد حتى يتدارك الموقف، يعيد حساباته في علاقاته، وممكن يرجع انه هو يضبط بعض الامور حتى لو كانوا ابناء اصبحوا مراهقين او حتى راشدين. فضروري ان انا استخدم كل فرصه ان انا اكون على تواصل مع ابني او مع بنتي. لو يا كلمني او لو كان في مجال في وقت بيني وبينه، ضروري اني انا استغل هذا الوقت لبناء علاقه قويه بيني وبين ولدي او بنتي. شنو اقدر اسوي عشان اتقرب منهم؟ في نقاط معينه لازم استخدمها في الحوار اثناء الحوار. مثل ما يقولون لغه الجسد جدا ضروريه اثناء الحوار بيني وبين ابني، وتحسسهم ان هذا الشخص فعلا مستمع، قاعد يستمع وقاعد يهتم اللي انا اقوله. اول شيء احنا ضروري ان احنا نشوف ابنائنا عين بعين، فلما يتكلمون معانا ما نكون احنا لاهين ونشوف حوالينا بالغرفه، او نكون احنا ماسكين اجهزتنا، او نكون احنا ما ننظر اليهم. لما الطفل او الطفله، لما ابني عموما او بنتي يتكلمون معي، ضروري ان انا اخلي عيني بعينهم. ضروري ان انا لما يتكلمون معي اذا كان الموقف يحتمل ان انا يعني اطلع لهم بابتسامه ايضا، الا اذا كانوا يتكلمون معي بموضوع جدا مزعج بالنسبه لهم او شيء. حتى في بعض الابتسامات ممكن تكون مطمئنه، ممكن تكون تهدي الشخص لما يكلمني وهو منزعج. لما ابتسم له ابتسامه تشعره ان في شخص مستمع لك جيد، وفي شخص موجود ومتعاطف معك وراح يتواصل معه باذن الله. ضروري اني انا اشجع واحمس الطفل انه هو يتواصل معي، وهالشيء ما راح يصير الا لما الطفل يكون عنده خبره ناجحه معي. فلما الطفل يعرف من اول مره ان انا كلمت امي او كلمت ابوي وحصلت تجربه ناجحه وحصلت رده فعل ايجابيه، هذا الشيء بطبيعته راح يبدا يشجع الطفل انه هو يعني يرجع مره ثانيه ويتكلم مره ثانيه وياخذ ويعطي مع الاهل مره ثانيه. ضروري ايضا وجود مثل ما ايضا تكلموا في القسم الاول ايضا اللي هو الستراكشر، اللي هو الباوندريز، اللي هو التوجيه. ايضا هذا في علاقاتنا عشان لما نكبر نقدر نسوي هذا الشيء في علاقاتنا، ضروري ايضا انه يكون موجود معنا من الصغر. الطفل لما يحصل ستراكشر او لما يحصل نظام معين في المنزل، لما يحصل توجيه من الاهل، يشعر بالامان. تحدث مع ابنائك عن هذا الموضوع، كلمهم عن الستراكشر اللي انت مطلوب منهم، تحدث معهم عن التوجيه، هذا صح هذا غلط. مو بالضروره يكون دائما بشكل محاضرات، يعني احنا ما نبي نملل الطفل في النهايه، لكن ضروري انه يكون الاباء يلعبون دور جدا مهم في توجيه الابناء بشنو الشيء المقبول والشيء الغير مقبول. هذا ينقلنا للنقطه اللي بعدها اللي هي ضروره وجود الباوندريز. نرجع نقول الباوندريز، الحدود والتوقعات من الطفل، ومثل ما يقول الكونسيكونسز او العواقب. ضروري انك انت تكون واضح مع طفلك، انا شنو ابي منك، شنو متوقع منك. متوقع منك انك تسوي 1 2 3، هذيل الرولز او هذيل القوانين مالت هذه الاسره او مال هذا المنزل. وضروري الطفل يكون عارف ان اذا لو خرقت هذه القوانين، مثل ما تكلمت دورا، قد يكون في انذار مره مرتين، قد يكون في على طول في عواقب. وضروري ايضا الابن او الابنه يعرفون شنو هي هذه العواقب. بالتالي انا قاعده اكون شخصيه تعرف ان في حدود في كل شيء في هذه الدنيا. لما تطلع للمدرسه، لما يطلع الطفل او تطلع البنت للمدرسه، يعرفون ان انا في كل بيئه انا يعني اروح لها هناك حدود وهناك قوانين وهناك عواقب لو انا ما التزمت في هذه القوانين. ايضا بالتالي لما يكبرون يروحون الى الجامعات او مجال العمل، لما يكون الشخص نشأت عنده هذه الفكره ان انا لازم اعرف قوانين المكان اللي انا فيه، لازم اعرف ان خرق القوانين هذه لا عواقب، هذا بالتالي يولد عندي شخصيه سليمه وسويه من الناحيه النفسيه. ضروري جدا طبعا مثل ما قلنا وجود الكونسيكونسز، وجود الباوندريز، وجود ان هذا مسموح وهذا ممنوع. لما الطفل يعرف ان في قائد او في ربان لسفينه المنزل، يشعر الطفل بالامان. في الكثير من الاحيان الاهل يقولون ان احنا خلينا نخلي عيالنا على راحتهم علشان يحبوننا وعشان احنا نحبهم وما نبي ناذيهم، ما نكون احنا مدركين ان بالتالي احنا قاعدين ناثر على نفسيه الطفل، ويطلع الطفل بشخصيه قلقه لانه هو استوعب او هو ادرك ان هذه السفينه ما لها ربان، ان انا I'm running the show، انا الليدر او انا الممثل الرئيسي اللي في هذه المسرحيه او في هذه الاسره. فبالتالي يشعر الطفل ان انا ما لي سند، ما لي ظهر، ما في ربان لهذه السفينه. ونشوف رغم ان الطفل قاعد يسوي اللي هو على مزاجه واللي هو يبيه، يكون عنده قلق. فالكثير من الاهل يشتكون من هذه النقطه وهم ما يكونوا مدركين ان هم لما يعطون الطفل او الطفله الحبل على الغارب مثل ما يقولون، قاعدين يأذونه اكثر مما يفيدونه، وقاعدين ينشئون شخص ممكن يكون عنده شعور بالقلق الكبير. ضروري ايضا الاستماع. لما نتكلم عن الحوار او كلامك مع طفلك او بنتك او الشاب اللي عندك في الاسره ابنك، ضروري نتكلم عن الاستماع بالمقابل. الحوار اللي هو انا اتكلم، الاستماع هو اول نقطه في الحوار الصحيح. لما انا اشعر ابني اني انا استمع له، ومثل ما يقولون actively listening، ان انا استمع له بشكل كل حواسي معه، يشعر ان في شخص موجود، في شخص قاعد يستمع لي. ايضا ارجع واذكر باهميه البودي لانجوج او لغه الجسد في هذه النقطه، ان لما شلون انا اشعر الشخص ان انا مستمع جيد. مثل ما قلنا الابتسامه، الاي كونتاكت، ان انا اهز راسي، ان انا احاول اسال بعض الاسئله، احسس الشخص ان انا مهتم بالموضوع اللي هو يتكلم عنه. ننتقل من هذه النقطه الى نقطه الفاليديشن، او ان انا اشعر الطفل، اشعر ابني ان مشاعرك حقيقيه. ان في ناس وايد، مثلا في اهالي وايد نسمع ما عندهم سالفه، هذول صغار، هذول اطفال. بالعكس، لما يتكلم الطفل او الطفله ضروري ان احنا نستمع له، ضروري ان احنا نشعره ان المشاعر اللي انت تمر فيها او المشاعر اللي تحس فيها حقيقيه وواقعيه وموجوده، وضروري انك انت وشيء ضروري انك انت تتكلم عنها وتعبر عنها، وضروري انك انت تعرف شلون تتعامل معها. لما ايضا ارجع واقول، لما اعطي الطفل هذه الاكسبيرينس او هذه الخبره، الطفل راح يرجع يلجا لي انا، بدل ما يكون في ريسك او بدل ما يكون في خطر انه فيما بعد لما يكبر ويوصل الى عمر معين يلجأ إلى أشخاص آخرين قد تكون نصيحتهم أو قد تكون الأساليب اللي يعطونها للشخص غير صحيحة أو غير صحية. أيضا لما أستمع لابني أنا قاعد أعلمه حل المشكلات. أيضا تطرقوا لهذا الموضوع أن أنا أعطي ابني مجال أنه هو يعالج مشكلته بنفسه، وضروري ان انا ابين له او اعلمه او القدره على حل المشكلات. شلون اعلمه على قدره حل المشكلات؟ هذه ترجع لمساله القدوه. ضروري ان اكون انا قدوه، وعشان يتعلم ابني مني شلون يقدر يحل المشكله. شلون اكون قدوه؟ لما يكون عندي موقف صعب امر فيه او موقف يعني يشعرني بالضغط النفسي، شلون انا تعاملي مع هذا الموقف؟ هذه القدوه اللي انا قاعده اعطيها لابني او بنتي في المستقبل. شلون احل المشكلات؟ هل انا من النوع كأم او كأب، هل انا من النوع اللي ارتبك واتوتر واعصب واكسر الدنيا؟ هل من النوع اللي انغلق وانطوي على نفسي؟ ام هل انا من النوع اللي احاول اني انا اهدي نفسي واتكلم عن مشاعري واقول انها مشاعر موجوده وواقعيه؟ شلون اقدر اتعامل معاها؟ شلون اقدر اطلع من الموقف بشكل ايجابي؟ لما تكون هذه طريقه تعاملي مع المشاكل، انا اكون اعطيت ابني او بنتي فكره عن كيفيه حل المشكلات. فهذا ايضا من الاشياء اللي ممكن تساعدني اني اقوي علاقتي بابنائي. في نقاط مثل ما يقولون اشياء يوميه ممكن ايضا تقوي العلاقه بشكل اكثر. ضروره دائما احنا لما نشوف، يمكن نسمع قد تكون جدا مو موجوده في مجتمعاتنا للاسف بشكل كبير، بس هي يعني قاعده تنمو وقاعده تصير بشكل اكبر، اللي هي ذكر ابنائك انك انت تحبهم. ما فيها شيء لو قلت لهم انك تحبهم كل يوم. يقولون لا لازم باليوم على الاقل مره واحده تقول لابنك او بنتك انك انت تحبهم وتذكرهم بهذه المحبه. وضروري انك انت ايضا تكون متواجد. شلون نقول متواجد؟ يعني حاول تخصص لنفسك 10 دقائق. حتى احنا دائما نقول قليل دائم خير من كثير منقطع. كلنا ندرك ان احنا عندنا مشاغلنا، ان احنا عندنا اعمالنا، لكن ضروري ان تخصص لو 10 دقائق مع ابنك او بنتك يكون فيها هذا الحوار، يكون فيها اني اسولف مع ولدي ومع بنتي. النقطة المهمة هني اللي نركز عليها ان احنا نكون معاهم فعليا. يعني شنو؟ يعني نطفي اجهزة التليفون او نخليها في غرفة ثانية، نطفي التلفزيون، نحاول ان احنا يكون هذا فعلا ال10 دقائق اللي مخصصينها لابننا او بنتنا فعلا لهم هم، وناخذ ونعطي معاهم. وبالتالي بتشوفون تاثير هال10 دقائق بتكون تاثيرها لسنوات فيما بعد. يعني يمكن احنا يعني نستصغر ال10 دقائق او نشعر، يعني ما نشعر ان قيمتها جدا كبيره، لكن فعلا هي تاثيرها جدا 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 قوي على شخصيه الطفل وتنميتها في المستقبل. العب مع عيالك. لو كانوا صغار العب معاهم العاب الصغار، لو كانوا كبار حتى لو كانت الاشياء مو بالضروره من الاشياء اللي تستهويك، لكن انت ادخل لعالمهم عشان تصير علاقتك معاهم اقوى. لو كانوا يلعبون بلاي ستيشن، طبعا لنا تحفظاتنا اكيد على بعض الالعاب ولها مجال ثاني نتكلم فيه، لكن لو مثلا كانوا يلعبون بلاي ستيشن وانت تبي تتقرب منهم، الفكره ان انا ادخل لهم من مدخل اللي هو الاشياء اللي يحبونها ويستمتعون فيها. هذا الشيء راح يخلي في مجال للحوار، راح يخلي في مجال ان انا اتقرب من عيالي اكثر. فما في مانع او ما في شيء يمنع ان انا اقعد والعب مع عيالي لو فتره بسيطه، لكن ارجع واقول هذه الفتره البسيطه اللي راح اقضيها مع عيالي راح تاثر عليهم لباقي عمرهم وتخليهم اشخاص اقوى واشخاص صحتهم النفسيه اكثر استقرار. ايضا ضروري الوجبات. ارجع واقول كلنا لنا مشاغلنا، كلنا لنا جداول مختلفه، في بعض الاحيان كثيره ما نقدر ان احنا تشير وجبه او ان احنا نشارك وجبه كلنا مع بعض مثلا على طاوله الاكل ونسولف فيها. لكن لو صار مجال حاولوا ان على الاقل وجبه واحده من الوجبات تكون عائليه، تكون الاسره كلها ملتمه على طاوله الاكل وياكلون ويتكلمون تستخدمون هذه الفتره ان يكون فيها حوار بينكم وبين ابنائكم. ايضا ارجع واقول ضروره ان تكون الاجهزه مغلقه او الاجهزه مو موجوده في هذا الوقت، لان احنا نبي نستغل اكثر وقتنا ان احنا نتكلم ونتواصل مع ابنائنا. الكواليتي تايم ايضا تكلموا عنه، والون تو ون تايم اللي هو يكون عندي وقت انا مخصص لابني فقط. يعني لو كان عندي 3 أو 4 اعرف انه شيء جدا مسؤوليه جدا كبيره على الاهل، بس لو كان عندي 3 أو 4 ابناء ضروري اني انا اخصص وقت لكل ابن على حده، يكون في معاي بروحي انا. ما يكون في distractions أو ما يكون في أي جوانب ممكن تخرب علينا هذا الحوار. ممكن إني أستخدم هذا الوقت في أشياء تستهوي ابني أو بنتي، أشياء نقدر نسويها مع بعض. لما أرجع وأقول لما أنا أشتغل على الشيء اللي ابني يحبه، معناته أنا مسكت واحد من المفاتيح اللي أقدر أدخل إلى عالم ابني أو بنتي فيها وأتقرب منهم بشكل أكبر. يعني ضروري جدا إن إحنا ما نهمل، أو ضروري جدا إن إحنا ندرك أهمية الكواليتي تايم عند الطفل، وش كثر هذا الشيء يعزز الثقة عند أشياء كثيرة نقدر نتكلم عنها بالتفصيل. أنا ما حبيت بس إني أطول عليكم، حبيت إني أعطيكم إياها مثل ما يقولون مغلفة هدية العيد، مثل ما يقولون in a nutshell، أو زبدة الموضوع اللي هو شلون نقدر إن إحنا نعزز ثقتنا وجودنا في البيت، نقدر نستغله بشكل أكبر بكثير بإذن الله. والله يخلي لكم عيالكم ويديم المحبة بينكم وبينهم إن شاء الله.
شكرا، وكل عام وانتم بخير، وشكرا على هذه العيدية استلمناها.
يعطيك العافية.
طبعا اللي سمعته كثير ان الواحد لازم ينظم شوي، يسوي نظام معين في حياته، مش نظام صارم بس يكون عنده نوع من النظام عشان يقدر انه يسوي الاشياء بطريقه صحيحه. اللي سمعته بعد اللي هو انه لازم شو نخصص وقت ليهم، يعني حتى لو ما كان وقت كثير لكن الوقت اللي نكون معهم نكون فعلا معهم جسد وروح مثل ما تقولي. وعجبني كثير الفكره انه احنا على الاقل لازم نتذكر. طبعا الناس بيحسوا هذه نقطه غريبه، اكيد احنا نخبر اولادنا ان احنا نحبهم بس مرات ننسى نحط في بالنا ان هم عارفين. فاتوقع احنا من هنا بعد نعلمهم ان هم يكبروا ويتكلموا عن مشاعرهم، واتوقع هذه نقطه جدا مهمه وبتساعدهم في المستقبل مع عوائلهم، مع شغلهم ومع علاقاتهم اللي سبحان الله يجمع. كانك جبتي مثل يقولوا زبده الويبنار اللي هو في الاخر العلاقات الطيبه تبدا من الاسره الطيبه والتربيه الطيبه، وهذه بدايتها الصحيحه. فشكرا كثير استاذه نوره.
يعطيك العافيه.
So now let's have the three speakers. We have Tamsyn and Noora and Dora. I don't know if anyone has any questions. عندكم أسئلة بالعربي أو بالإنجليزي تفضلوا تسألوها. إذا ما عندكم يمكن تقدروا تسألونا بعدين. All these webinars are on our YouTube page, as I said. And also, if you have any questions, you can send it to us. The lovely ladies all have a talk on our page. You can go back. This month, we're very excited. We're going to be talking about feelings, so anger, PTSD, happiness, all the feelings that you feel the whole month of August. That's going to be our topic. باللغة العربية وأيضاً باللغة الإنجليزية, in English and also in Arabic. So please stay tuned. If you have any questions, please ask. Even people in the talk, if you have any questions, you can ask as well. I mean, in the panel, if you want to ask each other, please feel free to ask. Other than that, I think we're good. Nobody seems to be asking. And then suddenly it happens. So let's see. We'll wait a little bit. Do you guys have any questions to ask each other? Is there anything? Although I really feel all your talks are very, very connected, which is quite interesting. So if you guys don't have, and also I don't see any questions here, I guess we will call, oh, there you go. Question, Dora. Okay. Yes. How could you help parents who offer different parenting styles? Again, I'll ask that question. How could you help parents, okay, who prefer different parenting styles? So I'm not really sure. Do you mean different from what Dora said, or the same ones but modified? I don't know. Dora, did you get the question, Dora?
More or less,
okay,
but it sounds like how can I convince someone who is sure, for example, that how can I convince the person to go towards a more authoritative one, maybe, right? But this is really, if I understood correctly, maybe it's not correct how I understood the question, but in that case, of course, it's really difficult. I mean, it's a personal choice. And after you evaluate your relationship with your kids, you can see if it's going towards the desired direction or not. So I think that is the main thing to evaluate. If they feel that it's okay, then maybe they have issues, you know, especially if the parent is really controlling and so on. Maybe he would need a specialist.
And I think
to help him understand.
And one of the things I think we do a lot in Serenity is we always want to see the parents and the kids, right? Because it's very important for us to understand the full picture, and it's something that we take very close to our heart, that we really have to connect with all to be able to get the full picture. So بالعربي بعد احنا عادة لما نشوف ناس في العيادة نحب نشوف الأهالي اللي جايين يتكلموا عن المشكلة وأيضا الأطفال، فما بس الأهالي يجيبوا الطفل وبس نتكلم مع الأطفال، أيضا نتحدث إلى الأم أو الأب أو الشخص اللي جاي بالطفل، فأتوقع هذا شيء واجد مهم. Okay, I think that is the only question. So thank you all. This is our second webinar for this new theme that we do every month. So the first theme was violence, last month was relationship, and this month will be about feelings. I'm looking forward to that. Thank you all. Have a lovely, lovely afternoon, and Eid Mubarak, and please stay safe. Thank you. Have a lovely afternoon. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.